Okay, hello friends, this is Yusuf here. Welcome to another interesting Python video. So in this video, we're going to talk about SQLite3, which is a lightweight database for Python. So it comes along with the Python, so that we don't need to install any separate packages. We can directly import and start using it. So as part of this video, we'll be covering the basics of SQLite3, including creating table, inserting records in different ways, selecting records, deleting and updating records, and we'll also see some tips. Okay, how do we use it correctly? So I'm in REPL, web browser because it's a Python default package, so we don't need any separate installation. So I'm just going to start writing, and then let's see how it goes. First we're going to import SQLite3. Okay, it is not SQLite. Okay, there is only one L. Okay, it's SQLite3, and then it's simple. So for SQLite3, right, we just need a connection and cursor objects to deal with everything. So normally connection is actually a variable. We need to do like a SQLite3 dot connect. So it will accept a parameter which is actually a database name. So if the database is already exist, then we can give the name. If it is not, then for the first time it will create its own. So test db, you can give any name. Okay, and then we need a cursor. So c is equal to connection dot cursor. So cursor is just a function we are going to have. Okay, then with this cursor only we will do all the operations. So here c dot execute. Okay, uh, create table uses, in brackets we'll have the column names. Say for example a name, which will be text. Okay, and maybe gender, which will be also text. So with respect to data types, very limited data types are there in SQLite3 because it's a lightweight database. Any strings we can use text, any numbers we can use integer. Okay, apart from that there is a null and some other thing, but as of now we'll stick with text and integers. So this is our statement. When the cursor is executing the statement, it will be running in the background. After that we have to do connection dot commit. Okay, so with this commit the table will be created. So database and table both will be created. Okay, so if I run this one, so you can see we only have one file called main.py in our cloud. So if you run it, you can see it's completed because we are not having any print statement, but here you can see the test db is created. Okay, so fine. So now let's insert some records. So if I run it again, what will happen? It will try to create the table again. Obviously we have the table, so it will say that user is already exist. So we can say something like create table if not exist. Okay, fine. uh, we'll do more things. So c dot, maybe we can comment this one. We don't want it, right? We already created it. Okay, so c dot execute insert. Let me close this one. We don't want this. Okay, so insert into users, right? And then values, we can give the values. So here we have two columns, name and gender. So you can say like Yusuf comma maybe 22. Okay, so here we are passing the value directly in the statement. After this we'll see how do we pass it as a parameter and so on. Okay, now after that what I'm going to do is c dot, this commit will insert the record, and then c dot execute select star from users, and with this execute statement the cursor will have the data. So c dot fetch all, will fetch all the records. So we'll just try to print it and see how it looks like. Okay, so let's run this. You can see it got inserted and we got now the select statement executed. So as of now you can see after we do a certain execute operation, we are doing a commit. So there is a simpler syntax using a Python with keyword. Okay, which means instead of having a commit separately, you can do like with conn. So with is actually a keyword which we have seen during our files operations, right? So it will by default close the file when the loop or the body comes out. So like that, now when we do with con, the connections will be committed and closed at the end. Okay, Fine. So now if I try to run it again, see, now I can remove the commit also. It will work correctly since we are using with. Okay, now we can see two statements got inserted because earlier one was already there and the new one. Now let's see a different way of inserting data, because typically you don't want to insert a hard-coded value, right? So say for example, instead of that, the straightforward way is a question mark and question mark, which is a placeholder. Now this execute itself is having a parameter, right? It can take the second parameter, it will be a tuple, and we can pass the value like maybe Sachin 44. Okay, now you can see this parameter will fit into our placeholders, and let's see the result. If you run it, we should be able to see the result here. And there is another way also. We can take this out, okay, and say user, or say input user, okay, and can have input user equals to tuple. Okay, both the same, like we are no having a separate variable for this. Now this is actually inserting using tuple. Okay, we can also insert using a dictionary, which means we can do something like input user equal to a dictionary. A dictionary should have the key as column name and value as value. Say for example, the key should be the name, because our column name is name, and value could be some name. And next we have gender, and the value should be the value, so 34, say for example. Now we are trying to insert a dictionary using a dictionary. We are trying to do an insert statement, right? So for this, the placeholder of question mark will not work. Okay, we need dedicated things. Say for example, you have to explicitly say that we are looking for name, comma, colon, gender. Okay, this is syntax. So whatever the column you want to mention, you have to mention the column name with a colon in front. Now if you try to run it, we should be able to see the Dhoni 34 also in between. Okay, so this kind of dictionary input as insert is very useful in case you want to do a bulk insert. You have the data, everything in a dictionary or the CSV file, and you want to read the data and then insert, so on. So we'll see that example at the end of the video. Now we learned about different ways of doing insertion. Okay, now we also have seen select statement. Now we'll see some other methods of select statement. So say for example here, for this I'm going to execute here itself. Okay, so import SQLite3 uh, connection is equal to SQLite3 dot connect test dot db. Okay, c is equal to connection dot cursor. Now I'm just going to say cdate execute select star from users. Now it returns the cursor object, right? So now c dot fetch all we have already seen. We can also do fetch one, which will fetch the first record. Okay, if I do another fetch one, it will display the second record. Okay, if I do now c dot fetch all, it will display the remaining records. Okay, see, Sachin and Dhoni came out. Okay, like that we also have. Now if you try to do c dot fetch one, it will return nothing because the cursor is not having any data. Okay, so now we can also do something like we'll execute the query again. Okay, now c dot fetch many. Okay, there is a command fetch many. You can specify how many you want. If I specify 3, only the first 3 will be coming out. Okay, so these 3 are mostly used fetch methods for select statement. Okay, and what do we have now? Okay, next thing. So here we are getting the value in terms of array, and each array is having a tuple of data. In some cases, we may need to know the column names for better handling of data. Okay, how do we get a dictionary as a result? Okay, rather than a tuple. So that we're going to do it. So for that, we need to have a little bit of helper function. Let's copy this one. So we are going to have a small function called a Dict factory. You can name it whatever you want, but basically what it will do, it will accept a cursor and a row object, and it will try to return a dictionary containing the column names as no key and values are a value. We'll see that in this action. So I'm not changing anything here. I'm going to say connection dot row factory is equal to Dict factory. Okay, so since we are passing our function into the connection object using the row factory function, this function will run in case we are trying to fetch the element. Okay, now we're going to run the same program this time for select star from all users. We are also c.execute will print c.fetch all. Okay, let's see the result. Run it. Okay, now you can see the results in a dictionary format. So for better tracking, we can say like for row in c dot fetch all print row. So if you do that, you will come to see each row in the form of no dictionary. So why Dhoni is repeated 2 times? Because we executed the code again 2 times. So this statement executed again. So that's why. Okay, I think you got the idea, right? Now, how does this happening? Basically, when you are doing the c dot execute, right? So that cursor will have the information about the column names and everything. Okay, so we are just trying to manipulate that and trying to return the object of dictionary for each output. So that's how it does. So what do we have now? So update and delete is again a straightforward one. Say for example, I want to delete this Sachin record. Okay, so here we can say simply delete from users where name equal to Sachin. Right, so here you can see I'm using a single quotes, but the overall string is a double quote, so I don't have any problem. Okay, and if this gets executed, then obviously that Sachin record will be eliminated, and when we do another select for the whole table, this fetch result should not contain the Sachin record. Okay, let's see. Okay, you can see it's removed. Okay, and if you want to update also, say for example I want to update all the Dhoni's age to 35, so update users set oh, I kept column name as gender, but I'm inputting all age. Okay, so that is equal to 35. Okay, so it's my mistake, so don't take it as it is, just take it as a tutorial. Okay, so it should be a male or female like that, but I have just given a number because I thought second column is the age. Anyway, so set gender is equal to 35, where name is equal to Dhoni. Okay, now let's try to run it. Okay, we see here the result is 35. Okay, so that's a quick introduction about the SQLite. So we have seen SQLite introduction. We tried to create a simple DB, and you can see we don't have any drivers to connect. Okay, we can just like that connect using a SQLite3 connect method, and we can create a cursor, so on. So finally, I'm going to tell you two things. One is actually a thing called in-memory database. Okay, let's see what it is. So I'm going to delete this DB. Okay, delete. Okay, so instead of here giving the test.db, okay, we're gonna say I think I need to remove this thing. Okay, colon memory. Okay, if you give colon memory, so what this will do, right? I think should we need to give in single quotes? Okay, it will try to create the DB only in RAM memory. It will not even create any files, but it will do all the operations. So which means let me have this create table, and let me have this insert table. I don't want this update. Okay, and yeah, that's it. So let's see if we're able to see this one. Okay, let's run it. Okay, I think it got journal. I'll give a different name. Oh, okay, just a minute. Okay, I think there is a problem because it's a cloud version, right? It is having a copy of testdb as a journal, so it's trying to reuse it. But the idea is you can have like this. Okay, you can connect to the memory so that there will not be any table created. Instead of that, you can just like that, use it for a testing purpose. Okay, so finally, as I said, we're gonna do a bulk insert. How this is gonna help? Okay, for that I'm gonna go to this website mock ro. Okay, this will help to randomly generate the data. Okay, so this is our idea. Okay, you can give the field names you want, like first name. No, assume my very name is not first name, just name. Okay, and gender. and I want 100 rows. If you do a preview, it will randomly generate the data and give you in the data. You can also view it in CSV format. So what I'm going to do, let me download this one, or maybe for the benefit of understanding, let me copy few. Okay, I'm copying this one, copy, and here I'm going to create a new file, data.csv. Come on, data.csv. Okay, I think let me reload it. Okay, let me add a file, data.csv, and here I'm going to paste those records. Okay, like 21 records. Okay, so let's see how we're gonna do it quickly. So let me copy a few things because we lost it. Okay, so again what we're doing, the same thing, nothing else. Let me remove this one. Okay, we are creating a test DB, and we are dropping if a table is already exist, that is not needed now, and creating table. Here is one thing: if you give any column with the parameters as primary key, then it will be auto incrementing value. Okay, we don't need to have it. So that's, if you have this keyword, we can have auto increment field. Okay, so here we're going to have name as our first column, gender as our next column, both are text. Okay, this will create. Now we're going to read those CSV file and insert into our DB. Okay, so first we're going to read it. So with open, we're going to open data.csv as f. Okay, now we're going to have CSV reader variable is equal to CSV dot dict reader of f. So we need to pass the def. Since we are using a dict reader, the CSV data will be coming to us as a dictionary. So we can have like a for row in CSV reader. Okay, print row. Say for example, let's see how the data will look like. So if you run this one, what will happen? The table will be created and the data will be read and it will display. Let's see. Okay, you can see it's displaying. Now our intention is to write this into our DB, right? So what we need to do, here I'm gonna wrap everything with the connection, let me move everything one step right. Okay, so here we're gonna say c dot execute insert into users values. Okay, first is name, comma, next is gender. Okay, and as a second argument we need to pass the row. Okay, this one will throw an error because the values okay, after the values we are passing two parameters, but here in our table we have three columns. Okay, serial number, name and gender. So we need to tell to the no program that we are passing the values for only the name and gender, not for the serial number, right? So for that, what we have to do, we have to, in between table name and values keyword, we need to specify that we are looking for name and gender column. Okay, insert into users on columns name and gender with the values of name and gender taken from the row variable. Okay, because in the row variable you can see the column names are already coming in the dictionary with with our column name as name. Okay, because here we have name and gender as our headings. Okay, so what will happen when you do a dict read, automatically your dictionary will contain the key as your name and value is as your value. So now let's see what will happen to this insert. After that, let me get rid of this row. Okay, so with con c dot execute select star from users, print for row in c dot fetch all, print row. Okay, let's see what happens. Let me take this to here. Right. Okay, so you can see, right? The data got loaded into a DB, and it's also getting returned. Uh, it's returning as tuple because we are not using the dict factory. If I use the dict factory, like conn dot row factory is equal to dict factory, and if I run it again, you can see 42 values because the earlier the 41 is was sorry, the 21 was already there. The second 21 got also inserted, and we are receiving 42 values. Anyway, so that's one extra step which I wanted to show how we can load the data from a CSV file into a SQLite DB. So that's the introduction of this SQLite. So yeah, so as we know that we can also use Python in our IBMI S400. We can also create this kind of SQL lightweight DBs in our IFS directories. Okay, you can try that out in our pub 400. And yeah, so that's the end of this video. I'll be coming up with some other interesting topics in my future. If you like this video, please share it with your friends. Yeah, thanks for all your support. See you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.